you doing?
Cool.
Well, thanks. Yeah, is it ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. It's Colin here, Bloody Gain here. I wanted to carry on a bit more about this message I was on last week about this marriage thing and living together. I've got written down here a few things I've put on, but somebody in the street said to me that I'm trying to save marriages or something. Maybe misinterpret things. I'm not actually trying to save marriages. In fact, if anything, I'm going the other way and trying to tell you that you should not live for just one person all the time. I mean, like in the sense of this cheating business is what I'm looking at. Like, you see, you get married, okay, or you live together, and then you're supposed to be just together until for how long? Death us do part, from marriage thing, and then you death us do part, and then you can't go to fuck another girl, or she can't fuck another guy, because you're cheating, you see. This is the cheating thing I wanted to get across here. You see, I'm not sure if I mentioned in my last video that a woman should be able to go down the street and say, every guy belongs to me. And potentially, every guy does belong to her, in the sense that every man should be free. And so because she won't want every guy won't want her, and there's only a limited amount of guys you can get, you know. I mean, you can't fuck many guys. You know, there's thousands, millions of guys out there, and millions of girls, so you'll only be able to handle a few. But the idea is that you can sort of live together in a way like you see, what I was driving at before was, you got a friend, okay, so you can introduce him to another friend of yours. Say Bill, you got Bill. Says, oh, Bill, this is Jack, friend of mine. And then he said to Jack, oh, this is Bill, friend of mine. And so they shake hands. But Bill doesn't say to you, what a cheek you've got to say that I thought I was your friend. And he gets upset because you've been cheating on him, like in living together or marriage. See, so basically, you see, you can have as many ordinary friends as you like. You see, nobody says, oh, I thought you're my friend, you know. You introduce somebody as your friend. So the same in living together. It might be right to live together in a way to somebody, but as long as you don't just have her or him only, whether it be in marriage or whether it be in living together. So you should be free. So everybody should be free to go to somebody else. Now, these marriages and things often don't work, of course, in any way, and then they finally pack up anyway, and so then they can get another girl. But then if the same thing's going to happen to Bloody Gain, then they're packed up with that one, and then they get another girl, or she gets another guy, and then the same motion again. Or you can't cheat again, you see. But it's not a matter of cheating. It's a matter of being natural, that you should have as many friends as you want to, not cheating. So you can live together, but see, a good way to work it if you're living together, as I mentioned, to have threesomes and foursomes with another couple. You can get magazines. I used to have Foxy magazine in Wellington. A friend of mine had it, and he gave it to me because he was too busy. So I was the first one in New Zealand to have A4 size, and A4 size, and I had the Wellington one, Foxy mag, and then Alan Douglas had the Auckland one, Key mag, and then Christchurch had Players, and one had Seekers Contact in Blenheim, I think it was. So we were the swinger mags in New Zealand. But what actually happened with my one is that I put on a piece about this rape thing. I must give a video on that once, and it was the so-called Indecent Tribunal were in charge at the time, over and above the police. So they got my article, and they repudiated it and said, "Oh, you can't do that." And I was actually fined by the judge on the court for $250 fine or something, because that was back about 25 years ago. And so my solicitor at the time, he was a very good solicitor. I've forgotten his name now. He was very good solicitor. So he told me, he said, just go down to the police place in the end of Lambton Quay in Wellington. If you don't know Wellington, it's Lambton Quay is just by the station. It finishes up by the station, and it's one of the main streets and the main internal streets in Wellington. So I went there, and I was helping a woman, Pat, in Brooklyn in Wellington here, with doing the Pussycat Protection League. So I just carried on there and did 32 hours or something there. So, but what actually happened was that the police actually went into Dairies, not Dairies, where I had my magazine in Wellington, and they went in there and confiscating my magazine. So when I saw that happen, when I saw the police going in and confiscating my magazine, Foxy, I thought, next time, like Kilroy, I shall return. I think I've mentioned this, and I did return, and I am returning now, but I knew that I had to help. The author of All Romance, the Holy Spirit, had to help me, and he came to me first, as I've mentioned actually in my videos. I think I've mentioned this, and I was actually in Courtenay Place, and the Holy Spirit spoke to me, and he said he wants to heal the rift between the Christians and the world, and he wants Courtenay Place in Wellington here to be changed to Romance Street or Love Street. So out of the two, I chose Romance Street, and then on top of that, he said that he wants to treasure this little street, Courtenay Place, unto himself, which will now be changed over. But that's to come yet. So, but I'm working with my videos, so he's using me with these videos I'm on. I've put about 45 videos on, and he's using me in that line. So anyway, but getting back to sex, so I had the sex magazine Foxy. So now that I'm coming back now, and I won't be fined anymore because I'm coming back with the Holy Spirit now, and he's working through me on these videos, no doubt. But as I say, I've got about 45 videos on. So anyway, what I was trying to get across about this marriage thing is that, well, the difference between marriage and living together is just really paperwork, largely. I mean, you got to have a license. The guy that marries you, the woman, has to have a license to marry you. You've got to have a license. I don't think the girl needs one. I think she just uses the same one, I think, from somebody said. I'm not sure about that. I meant to check up on that, but you can do that. So so he's got to have a marriage license to marry you. You've got to have a marriage license to the guy. And then man gives you what to say in the form, and then man tells you who's to marry you, or the officials say who's to marry you, will be satisfied who to marry some priest or some pastor or something like that, and he has to have a license to marry you too. And then finally, when you're married, is at a point when a man or a woman says, I pronounce you man and wife. So it's all man. Man says you got to have a marriage license. Man says this. Man says it's all man. And so I don't see much difference between marriage and living together. It's just sort of paperwork, really. And marriage was symbolic in the Old Testament, as I've mentioned. But I sort of carry on here. I kind of You see, you got to be free. Everybody has to be free in this world. See, even children are not free. Are not free with their parents. I mean, the parents don't own their children; they're just guardians over them. And when they get to about 18 or 21, you have the key of the door. But now I think you can go flatting at 18, maybe 16. So if you can go flatting at 18 or 16, then you've virtually got the key of the door, because if you're flatting, then you can do what you want. So it's more or less got the key of the door, unless you're going to marry somebody, and the parents could perhaps still stop marriage if you're not the 18, or it might be 18 now when you get the key of the door. But the idea is in this video to kind of explain to you that everybody should be free. So if you're living with a girl, or girl living with a guy, if you're happy to live together, even if you've got a few problems, they talk about these ups and downs business. That's bullshit. It's more downs than ups. In fact, it's pretty nigh all downs. They say, oh, we have our ups and downs, you see, and but what ups are there? Very few ups. It's all downs. I'd like that saying to change and say, oh, we have our downs, but we get along. You see, you're still living to one person, and you can get institutionalised with each other. You can, the novelty wears off, and when you're lovely and happy, and as I mentioned in my last video about people being happily married, and then it wears off. One I didn't tell you about was a guy in Gisborne. We used to be in the Methodist Church, and we used to associate there. Well, this guy from Gisborne, he went to a place where this woman shows you around. I just don't want to sort of mention the place, because I don't want to get too specific about this particular person. It's a particular place where she shows people around. Well, he saw her there, and he ended up, they got married, but it lasted less than 6 months, because in the Wairoa Star, it was a little column on from Wairoa, Hawke's Bay. It's a little town about halfway between Napier and Gisborne. It was only about 3,000 or 4,000 people or something, not many, maybe 5,000. A small town, and so in this small town, now I lost what I was going to say now about that from Wairoa. Something else I was going to say about Wairoa. It's gone out of my head now. I've lost it, and I lost the plot there. If I get carried away a bit, then I can lose sometimes what I was on. So something happened. I'll have to leave this one off, then I've forgotten what it was. It might come back to me. So let's get back then to say if you're living together, or you got a girlfriend, so you're not living together. The idea is to have as many girlfriends or boyfriends as you like. You see, you've got this problem of, you see, it's a traditional thing. You see, you get a girl or you get a guy, and then you want to live together or you get married. And when this guy says, I pronounce you man and wife, well, then it's all man. You see, man says this, and then you're married, and when he says so. So anyway, you're not supposed to go to another woman. You're not supposed to fuck another woman, otherwise you're cheating in this. See, marriage, as I say in the Old Testament, was symbolic. So I'm kind of trying to see this guy in the street or something said, he said, I'm trying to save marriages or something. And well, I'm not actually, just the opposite. I mean, I suppose you can live together with somebody because you've got to live somewhere. And if you've got a child or children, supposing you've got a child, the two of you have a child, and there's another one coming on the way, well, I mean, if you're getting along all right, well, I suppose but you do have your downs. See, as I say, there's none much of ups. You better change it and say, oh, we have our downs, but we get along. So if you sort of still wanted to stay along, you could, but the main thing is to be able to go to another woman. Otherwise, what's the sense in deciding that you're going to stick to one woman for the rest of your life. And there's plenty of other women out there. I know a friend of mine told me, he said, it's boring to fuck his wife. So he comes into town here from out the hut in Wellington here, and he used to try and get another girl. And I thought originally that he was coming to get variety. But he said to me one day, he said, it's boring to fuck his wife. So if guys get bored to fuck the same woman, well then a woman must also get bored with being fucked by the same guy. It must work out that way because it's a two-way thing. It's a magnetic. It's so well done by the maker of all romance, the Holy Spirit. He's the author of all love. And he, as I said in my last video, he can make kissing so sweet that a girl could be kissed on in Romance Street, and she just doesn't want to ever get up again off that mattress again because his kisses are so sweet. So anyway, I'm trying to sort of stress that everybody should be free, you see, and you can live together, but just keep free that you're free to bring home a girl and she's free to bring home a guy. And you could have a threesome too as well. And in that way, you're not tied down. Otherwise, you can get to the stage too where the novelty wears off, and then the argument's starting. And I was watching a movie on TV, I think, and this girl got stabbed the other, or he stabbed her, I think. Excuse me. A bit of a fog with this going out in the cold drafts. So anyway, and this girl was staggering out this knife wound, and then they came knocking on the door, and they saw him walking up the stairs and say, "Grandma, help me." But they'd killed Grandma to get the house. And it was a terrible movie and that. But so you see, that's what can happen in marriages. You get the novelty wears off and that, you see. But as I say, you can stay together if you like, as long as you fan out, like as long as you get another girl, bring her home, and she brings home another guy. See, I know a friend, one that was in the swingers, and she couldn't go out, she couldn't go out. So she said to her husband, let's know how it goes or something. So he went out for a threesome or something. Oh, that's right. He came back and she said to him, how did it go? And that's the idea, you see, is to be together on it, you see. And other bloody wise, even if you do have a good marriage or a good living together, even if somebody says, look, we've been married or we've been living together for 7 years and we don't argue at all, we're so happy together. And, well, are you going to say that about an ordinary friend of yours? Are you going to say, oh, me and my friend, we've been together friends for, we don't have another friend, we stick to each other. You see, I mean, why do you just want this guy? I mean, why can't you have other friends? Everybody should be free in this world. This is why slavery is a very bad thing, because you're dominating somebody's life. And unless, or even if they owe you money, say, I think overseas they take a person and he's got to work to pay back the loan or something like that. Well, I suppose that's different because he owes them money and they're working to pay back the money. But normally you can't have slavery, what they do have still around the world, I think. They used to have a lot of slavery, even in the UK there used to be slavery, I believe. But you can't do that. Everybody should be free. So if you're living together with a girl or guy, then fan out and what's this time now? Well, it's not so bad here, it's 19 minutes or something. Keep an eye on this time because they won't accept it over about 40 minutes. So I haven't got quite organised with this particular message today here in a way, but I do want to stress this part about cancelling out this business about cheating business, you see. See, as I say, you see, this is what I just mentioned about this woman. She said to her husband, she said, because they went into threesomes and foursomes themselves, and but she wasn't up to it. I think she was drinking too much coffee, and her hands were like claws. And I think she drank about 25 cups of coffee a day or something like that, and her hands were like claws, and maybe that's why she didn't go. But he went on his own, and then she asked him when he came back, how did it go, you see? Well, that's more the idea, and then you can also live together better that way anyway too. So that's the idea I want to stress on this video again, is the importance of being free as the birds are free. You should not have this business about cheating business. This is the problem. I think I might have mentioned this on one of my videos, that a guy here from New Zealand, he went to a parlour and he was escorted to go behind this curtain. So he went behind there, and hello, there it was his wife there, or his partner was there. So you see how embarrassing that could be. And but if he laughs, they just laughed, and he kept laughing as he walked away from the tent. Well, she could then be more happy about that, and they could get home, and you just laugh it off, or just laugh, and that'd be all right. But you see, it shouldn't happen in the first place. I mean, you're living together. You should realise that that you're both free, you see, and you should be able to go to another woman, and you go to another guy, but still stay together if you like, you see. So that's where the threesomes and foursomes come in. See, I remember once, I might have mentioned this in a video, but I can mention it again. I was having a threesome with a couple, and he was lying on one side, and so she was in the centre, so I got fucking her, and then after a step, he rolled his head to my side. He just rolled it over, and he said to me, he said, you're having a good ride, he said. You're having a good ride. We see how that's much better that way, and also you can live together better that way too, because you're more free. Because unconsciously, I think couples, when they live together, they sort of unconsciously wanting their freedom. They're sort of both wanting more, and of course sometimes they do, sometimes they do go so-called cheating, and she goes, like in this case, you see, she goes behind the curtain, and there were both of them, wanting, why don't they do it together then, and discuss the matter? Now she won't do it, as often the woman won't do it, so you might just have to do the old one, just give her a few drinks to knock her out. So you get a couple around and for tea or something, and make sure she has a few drinks, and then when you can see that she's getting merry and you've knocked her out, then she'll join in a threesome. They're probably wanting to do so, and so actually they want to get drunk. Actually, some guys might feel guilty about getting women drunk, but in actual fact, that's what women want, because women want sex just as much as what men do, and so if a guy does something that will make it happen, that's usually what women would want. Like, for example, supposing that you had a woman, it doesn't happen very often, I don't think, but if a woman, a hitchhiker, said to the driver, he said, if you don't take me to my destination, I'll get you, I'll accuse you of rape. You see, this so-called rape thing. But we need another video on that one. Goodness me, women could so-called rape men every day for 10 years, and there wouldn't be a complaint, and yet if it started on women, there'd be a complaint in less than 5 minutes, kind of thing, and yet men would be 10 years and hardly still not get a complaint. But anyway, we don't want to go into this rape thing at the moment. So we're on this one now that she's in the car, she threatens this cunt up for this, or she said if he doesn't take me to her destination, she'll head him up for this rape thing. So anyway, the guy would say to her, well, look, I'll take you to destination, all right then, but you got to give me a fuck first. Now, strange as it may seem to people, that's the kind of thing that she's hoping to hear. She's hoping that, in other words, probably what's happening is she badly wants a fuck from him, and she puts it that way in the hope that he will say something like that, and he thinks, oh, he'll put the screws on her if she wants to. I'll take her there, but she's got to give me a fuck, and that's exactly what she's wanting. It's a two-way thing, because women seem to be very shy on sex, and they can't. Like a woman in Waiwa, in my hometown, she wanted this guy, and she what shall I say? She's what shall I say? She was too shy to see him. So I went to see him, and he listened outside. He was a cleaner at a school. So anyway, he motioned. He said, "Come." He said, "Oh, come tonight." He said, and or bring it tonight or something. So I brought her along, and I think she smelt a rat, and so she went out to the car and waited out there. And then he said to me, he said, "Come up the stairs." He said, "Just the cleaner's there." So I went up, and lo and behold, he goes and introduces me to his wife. And then he said to me, he said, "You come at this again," he says, "I'll kill you." So I was sort of shocked at that, and getting that, and I'd just come from the hospital, and Mum had the gurgle of death on her. I'd seen it in Mr. Throssell years before in Waiwa, because I used to work as a porter at the Waiwa Hospital, and this man, Mr. Throssell, had this gurgle of death. I think the nurses call it the death rattle. So I always remembered about Mr. Throssell, and now years later, Mum had the same rattle thing, and this death rattle. I was just concerned. So as when this guy says to me, he says, "Oh, you come with this bloody again," he says, "I'll kill you." And so I was shocked, because I'd just come from the hospital with Mum with this gurgle of death. So anyway, I lingered there. That was all right. But then I walked down the stairs, and I lingered further at the door, and then slam, he smashed me in the side of the head. But strange as it may seem, I got pain on the other side of my head, because my nerves are shot, actually, and it's the worst thing that can happen to me to get, because I got malnutrition and backing up my nervous system, and the nerve cells can regenerate, but slowly, but mine never did, and it's probably been too working too hard and that, doing gardening and such like. So anyway, so I went back to the car, and then about an hour later I got home, and Dad was on the phone, and he turned to me and said, "Your mother's just passed away." And so it was the gurgle of death. But about 2 or 3 days later, I saw him at the post office, the same guy, because Waiwa was a small town, and I saw him in the post office, and I was looking at him, and he was face to me, but not quite direct somehow, but his face was to me, and I was looking at him, staring at him, and I noticed that he had a what shall I say? He had a look. What's the look he had on his face? I'll see if I can find this. He had a sheepish. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. He had a sheepish look on his face 2 or 3 days later when I saw him in the post office, looking right at him. But you see, so that's the problem. And in fact, he did say to me at the time with his wife, he said, "But I don't even know you." So I wouldn't be surprised if he used me to, he maybe had a woman in mind, or he may be going with another woman as well. And so he took advantage of the situation, made out to appear that his wife, that he was a goody-goody, because the reaction she gave was sort of on his side. I sort of saw the smile that she gave, but it was a certain smile of more sort of on his side sort of thing, or on his side. And so I think he just used that. But these are the things which can happen in life, actually. So I'm very careful now. I don't do that a bloody again. A woman wants me to go and see a guy. Unless I know the guy, he knows me, I might. But that's what this cunt said. He said to me, he said, "But I don't even know you," he said, when he was with his wife. But it was a terrible thing for him to do, but, yeah, so anyway, I brought that up for some reason. So anyway, so the idea then in this video was to reinforce the position that that if you like, you can live together, because if you go in a flatmating situation, you got problems too. I have flatmates, and I had a place there with flatmates, and they're terrible. They'd steal your food, and they'd steal your money, and in your room I lost money, and didn't lose it really for myself, but for the work I'm supporting was what upset me. But it was my fault for leaving money in my room and that. And and one guy got money from me, and I foolishly loaned him some money and that, and I don't think I got it back. I might have got a bit. I can't remember exactly, but all these flatmates, they steal your food. And so I was talking to a woman on the phone, and she said the same thing. She said to me that her daughter went flatting. It only lasted about 18 months. And she said, they steal food. You got to pay their rent. Oh, that was another one. You got to pay their rent. So she just packed up and she just went into a flat of her own. And so you can have problems with a flatmating situation too. So if you and your partner are not living together properly, arguing, if you went into a flatmating position, say, well, then you got problems there. And so we want to go on your own, be better. But then some people don't like being on their own because they like the company, But if you're together, then whatever state you are in, whether you're close to divorce or close to separation, and that you're having arguments all the time, and that, or whether you're having a very good relationship, regardless, you should be able to be free to go to another guy or girl and stay together, just like your ordinary friend. You have an ordinary friend. You can have as many ordinary friends as you like. You can introduce your friend to another friend. As I say, he doesn't say to you, "Oh, I thought you were my friend." You can have as many friends as you like. And so the same with this fucking business. You see, if you get varieties different, if you keep fucking the same one, see, the novelty wears off and that, and when you go to another woman or another guy, it makes all the difference, So that's my message to you, that, see, separation is not the thing I'm looking at, because people are getting separated all the time. I'm just concentrating that if you are together, regardless of your situation, you should be able to, hang on, what's this time? It's 33 minutes. I'll have to close, I think. That's 30. Oh, yeah, I'll have to close this video now. So I'll have to close it. I've run out of time again. So that's the main message I want to get across. This guy said, he said to me, I'm trying to save marriages or something. So people can sometimes get the wrong end of the stick on something, what you're trying to convey. It's just surprising. You say something to somebody, and then they come up with something else, and you weren't even talking about that, or like you weren't emphasising that, you weren't on to that, and he sort of takes a different viewpoint to what you're trying to get across and that. Well, anyway, I must close this video. I'll sort things out then. If you let other people know about my videos, and we could get together, I've still got to wipe out this virus and things yet. There's other videos, so watch my other videos. My time's up here. So try and get other your friends and that to listen to my videos. I've got about 45 videos on, and I've got other ones, and this virus is tremendous. But I want to now see Grant Robinson again from New Zealand, and Chris Hipkins. I've got to get this virus knocked out. You find it on my other videos, how to knock out this virus, COVID-19, piece of cake. But you must hear my videos. I can't get now. My time's up. 34 minutes, I think. So I must go then. So main thing then I want to get over is that you should be free, and be free, and don't be tied down to one person for the rest of your life. Stay with them. Have an ordinary friend if you like, friends, But just don't just have one ordinary friend for the rest of your life. Don't just eat carrots for the rest of your life. There's other foods to eat. Don't just stick to one thing all the time. Well, I must go then. So I'll catch up with you. I'll put another video on next week or so, maybe tomorrow or something. So in the meantime, then get my messages around, my videos, to your friends and that. We get as many viewers as we can, and we can get New Zealand right, as I put in other videos, and the world as well. The Holy Spirit's working through me from this, and I wanted to try and get Courtney Place changed to Romance Street. I'm working on it at the moment, but I really need divine guidance about what to do. So I've got to really get Holy Spirit to guide me in these things, and then He knows best what to do. Otherwise, if you piss ass a bloody around on your own, anything can happen. Well, I must close then, so I'll catch up with you on another video. So it's Collins then signing off for now. So bye for now.